hop from this advance guard of individuals on the island. When they saw the British troops begin to come out of Fort Murray and form themselves up for an advance, they opened fire on them. One of the other things that the British had done, the British military force, they had taken up the boards off the bridge so the Virginians could not attack them. And one of the things that the observers observed was British troops bringing those planks back out and laying them back down so that they could cross. And this was, to the pickets on the island, a clear indication something was about to happen. The British troops come out and they occupy the island. At this point, what was supposed to happen was the Ethiopian regiment was supposed to cross the river, come in behind the Virginia camp and create a distraction. But because of miscommunication, that never happened. Now the pickets, as you've seen, begin to fall back to spread the word. The British are advancing toward the causeway. The last picket from the Virginia side of the army, who remained and continued to fire when he had advised his comrades to retreat back to the Virginia camp and spread the word, was a man named Billy Flora. And he stayed behind and continued to fire his musket at the advancing British. One of the most interesting things about Billy Flora is he's unique as a Virginia soldier. He is a free black man from the city of Norfolk who has taken his stand with the Virginians. He eventually falls back. The British troops take possession of the island and move up their artillery. The main Virginia camp is so far behind these opening shots, they're not aware of what's going on. At the main earthwork that you see to your immediate left, there is approximately 60 soldiers of an advance guard under a Lieutenant Travis. And they are the ones who do most of the fighting for the Virginia Army in this Battle of Great Bridge. Now you can see advancing onto the island soldiers of the Grenadier Company of the 14th Regiment of Foot. Grenadiers are the biggest, the strongest, the smartest soldiers in each British infantry regiment. And you can always spot them because they wear those tall black bearskin caps that make them look even taller than they actually are. Grenadiers are the shock troops of the British Army in the 18th century. And while you see light infantry with their green plumes in their hats designating them as light infantry, these are smaller, athletic, faster-moving men. The main shock force in the Battle of Great Bridge will be the advance of the British Grenadiers under a Captain Fordyce, who was their company commander. Behind the Grenadiers came parts of or detachments of two more companies of the 14th Regiment of Foot. Meanwhile, in a redoubt on the left flank of the Virginia Army, you see men in green. They're in hunting shirts, which was an unusually, kind of a unique American-developed garment that many colonists went to war in 1775. It comes from the frontier. Those men in green are the Culpeper Minute Battalion. They come from the counties of Culpeper, Fauquier, and Orange County, from that military district. Most of them are armed with the American long rifle. This is a weapon that has grooves cut inside the barrel, enabling the bullets they fire to travel farther, faster, and straighter than the common small arms in the British camp. British soldiers are using a 75 caliber single-barrel flintlock musket, which has a maximum effective range of only about 100 yards, about the length of a football field. But those Virginians in green with their rifles can extend their fire and strike British soldiers as far away as perhaps 400 yards. So it's a unique asset the Virginia Army has. And the Culpeper men will figure decisively in catching the British column in a crossfire at Great Bridge. There were approximately 140, give or take, British regulars in the three companies of the 14th Regiment of Foot. I think I mentioned it earlier, but those men, in conjunction with loyalist militia from Norfolk and the surrounding environs, and the Ethiopian Regiment, make up the roughly 350-man force at Dunmore's disposal. And again, Lord Dunmore is not here on the day of the battle. He's still in Norfolk. But his plan had been approved with the specific ideal of having the Ethiopians sweep around and attack the rear, and then the main British force, led by the Grenadiers, would cross the causeway and attack the Virginia camp with a view towards decisively defeating it. You see the Grenadiers in advance, taking the lead. It's hard for us to understand today why soldiers fought the way that they did in these formations. But think of that block of red-coated troops as a machine designed to hurl lead as quickly as possible in a shotgun sort of way at their enemies. It isn't accurate fire, but it's sustained fire. Now you see Captain Fordyce advancing with his grenadiers on the causeway. Because again, the grenadiers are the shock troops. They're the ones who send in first. Other British troops, other members of the other companies of the 14th Regiment of Foot will follow them up. If you're a student of military tactics, you know one of the worst things you can try and do is attack an enemy across a body of water. Essentially, that's what's happening here. So, because of the width of the causeway, Fordyce has to compress his front in order to march down that causeway, as you see them doing now. And this is the point at which the Culpeper men in the redoubt on the Virginia left flank are able to catch the British soldiery in a crossfire with their very accurate long rifles. Meanwhile, the 60-man guard at the main earthwork under Lieutenant Travis is providing most of the firepower directly in front of the advancing British column. Captain Fordyce takes a wound to one of his knees, but he pulls himself together, leads his men on, saying, making typical remarks about the day is ours, and he advances. Fordyce is struck, falls to the ground, and after the battle, when his body was examined, it was found that there were 14 bullet wounds in Captain Fordyce's body. Lieutenant Napier of the Grenadier Company, Fordyce's subordinate, takes command of the Grenadiers, and they're not ready yet to give up the fight. The British advance continues take casualties from their front, from their right flank. The war eventually reaches the main Virginia camp, nearly a quarter of a mile further south than it is taken place. Musters the rest of the command to deal with this threat. So those other divisions, with some assistance from volunteers, advances forward when the battle is taking place. For those who have fired 18th century weapons of this era, I can tell you from personal experience that a musket, when loaded with a soldier's nose, when they go boom, when it goes off. But an American musket will crack when it goes off. So you can literally distinguish the type of weapons that would have been on the field at that time. And of course, we're not firing so much. A lot louder if we were. There would also be more powder smoke because the powder charges and all. Another reason that these men fight in such tightly packed formation is for their fire to be effective against the enemy. They have to be able to hear the commands of their officers. If you never hear your officer's commands, the unit begins to lose its cohesion, and it cannot keep that continuous rolling fire. British soldiers should be able to load and fire a musket between 3 and 4 times a minute if he's well trained and disciplined. But when the officers go down, that's going to inhibit a unit to be effective in combat. Begin to withdraw back up above toward the island. This is not the end of the battle because one more ship will consolidate themselves on the island.